going live now because we're gonna be working through this for a little while. So this is the content. This is episode 1. Thank you everybody for joining me. This is Drowning in Content. Join video call. Hello. Is that better? Is it working better? Oh, apparently not. Okay. Hello?
Hey, sorry about that.
Oh. What's happening? I've never had this kind of issue.
Because you're chucked down. Is it not working?
I can hear you. There we go. I think when I turned on my camera, maybe that's what's lagging it. Let me just test that again. Yeah, that's got to be it. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, because that was what was messing up with my on the computer.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure if I have my regular headphones and stuff, my Bluetooth, maybe I could hear you. My adopted mom literally last night was like, "Do you want my old Chromebook?" Like, sure. Now I have the Apple Book and the Chromebook and the phone. So between the three of them, I'm still never going to get anything done.
Oops. I'm still having some issues. Okay, let's try this. All right, are you seeing me now?
Am I seeing you?
No,
I'm seeing the blue ring. Definitely seeing the blue ring.
Okay. Maybe that's not gonna work. I'm gonna try this one more time and then we'll just see, but you might just have to not look at me.
Oh no. I mean, that's fine.
Oh wait, okay, you should see my camera now.
Oh, I can see Charlie. I can see Charlie.
All right, perfect.
We have a visual on Charlie. Oh god, I feel like I'm my grandpa again. I'm back in mom. To be upfront, I did not research the Union guy as much as I wanted to. I had a bunch of come up this weekend, but he's still. If you know about him, I will definitely hear about him. If that makes sense.
Sean Fain?
Yeah, I only know tangential stuff because I was looking him up and I was like, oh, I should deep dive this guy, and then I never dove.
Well, I only know the basics, which is first democratically elected UAW president, and he himself was an auto worker, and he's fucking sick.
No, he seems like I hadn't done this yet. No, he seems legit, especially because he's like, no, fuck you, we're gonna strike whenever the fuck we want to strike. Which is, I'll save that for the show, but like that's a big deal for negotiations. You get one more piece in.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then the only other stuff, we'll just have some random stuff I'll just talk about. Usually I like to bring up one like content creator or something or somebody who I don't know. I'll just bring up somebody. We'll probably watch some of their content. Let me see. I want to check that the share screen is going to work though. So okay. That's the last thing.
If not, I have the Chromebook, and you can send me stuff, and I can look it up on that too.
Okay, nice.
I have my phone. I can double up. Here, let me grab it now that I've put it away.
Well, that looks like that's gonna work.
Oh.
Cool. Good.
What? Oh yeah, I can do that. Okay, cool. Whoa, the internet is crazy, man.
Snap a Palace, hello. We are live right now on Twitch. So
good. I was not doing dabs. It's fine. Nice. I was not. I think I did that off camera. I know the rules.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm monetized, but.
Okay. Is that when they take you? I don't do that. I don't understand. Yeah, Corey and I keep talking about doing Twitch stuff, but I
Oh,
I have yet to get.
I think it would be you would be perfect for it. I think it's D&D content on Twitch is really cool.
That is actually what we were talking about. If he wants to, we're talking about either doing like live plays of games. I kind of want to do some, some Critical Role style live play. If I get the chance, but it's also like been kind of a pain in the ass to line people up. Like we've been trying to do I'm having the worst time editing the Halloween one or the vampire one because I will get started and then something will happen and I'll be like, "What's going on? What was it?" So I'll go back like a half an hour and then I'll notice a thing. So I've only gotten about 40 minutes out of it. I'm good at my job.
That's okay.
Well, because I want to do, I'm already preparing. I have like 3 other games that I want to do already, and I'm like, once I finish editing.
yeah, someday when I finish editing.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Right off the bat, I just want to say at the top of this stream that today's podcast is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. That's right, Raid Shadow Legends. If you put command RAID in the chat, download Raid Shadow Legends, that gives us a little kickback. So thank you, Raid Shadow Legends, for sponsoring. You can look all my goals on the chat. You can see I already have one person who's gotten to level 12, and I'm sure that's Chris. So
Raid Shadow Legends, is that one of the? I see the ad for it. I don't know what the game is about.
Yeah, it's like a turn-based. It's almost like Pokemon, where you build a team of champions and you can summon new champions, and they all have different abilities and different like type effectiveness. And you can get legendary champions, and you can upgrade your champions, and over 600 champions, and blah, blah,
That sounds dope.
It's actually kind of
build
fun.
One of those. Talent to your crew is to build one of those teams that's like, all right, all it does is put the enemy to sleep, and then it does Dream Eater.
Yeah,
that's my challenge.
Pretty much that, yeah. And it's cool because you can just like set it on auto battle and just like leave it, or you can like get in there and mess with all the settings and stuff. So
that's my favorite at like jobs that I hated is like Pokemon, where you can put it down. Like you're like, all right, I'm a dishwasher, and I got to do something for like 10 minutes, and then I get 5 minutes to myself. All right, Pokemon, you guys fight. I have dishes to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, Chris was saying, as for an example, Chris, when he was doing like phone stuff, he would just be playing it on the phone, and then when he was dealing with a case, he would just put it down on auto battle and just let it run for an hour.
Oh, that's a fun. That's fun when you can do that. You can't do that with Fallout 4. It turns out.
All right. Other than that, are you ready? I'm just gonna.
I'm not ready. I've got coffee. I still want a shirt that does not have egg all over the front of it.
That actually is a good point. I'm gonna make a cup of tea because otherwise I will be very thirsty.
You leave me alone with your streamer.
Oh, I trust you. I believe in you. I'll be right back.
Okay, so this is now the Petronius Legion. We're just gonna take everything away from Charlie. Look, I know you guys enjoy being in Charlie's cult, but you could join the cult PTP. That's me. In our cult, we have fun things like orgies on Wednesdays. Thursday is Free Joint Thursday. You bring me a joint and I smoke it for free. That's a pretty cool thing that nobody partakes in. And then Friday is Wacky Shirt Friday for the Pat cult. So if you're enjoying Charlie's cult and you want to double up your cult, you can. Oh, sorry, I'm just getting word. This is not a cult. This is a stream. Totally different thing. My bad. In case anyone doesn't know, I'm Patrick Thomas Perkins. Too many words to call a person, so just call me PTP. I'm sure Charlie will go over it, but I host a podcast called Recyclables. I also edited, as that comment several minutes ago with Charlie indicated. I have a large Deadpool blanket because I appreciate pansexual heroes. Yeah. I can't actually read comments, so I should pretend like this comment. I feel like Feronius Bosk 82139. How are you doing? You're on the air. Actually, I'm gonna go open up this thing. Okay. Actually, opening up a D&D. Signing, so it didn't keep me signed in. Charlie recently did a vampire game on my show that I'm editing, where Charlie played a really cool character, a Brujah, for those of you who might be familiar. Let me think of what else. Chris Cox was on there. He was a Toreador. My co-host was Shell was on there. She played she was a Kitus, which is almost out of clan. That was pretty cool. And that'll be coming out on the Recyclables podcast stream probably in about 6 or 7 years when I get done editing it. No, probably the first episode will probably drop before Halloween or right around Halloween, and then I'll drop subsequent episodes after that. I'm hoping to have them all on, Chris, Charlie, Rochelle, as well as Tori Cedarleaf, who is Rochelle, my co-host partner, and his partner, who's I'm seeing Courtney in my head, but that's who he works with. Charlie, you gotta help me. Chelsea. Oh my god, I couldn't remember Chelsea's name for a minute. That was your roommate.
Chelsea, yes.
I didn't know if your streamers are paying attention, but I was like, hey, if you guys care, in the future, Charlie will be on an episode. And then I could not remember Chelsea's name, but I could remember Courtney's name. Oh. So I don't know where that puts me as far as friends with everyone.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, yeah, okay, so this is episode 1 of this podcast, so we're still working this out, but welcome to... Oh,
episode 1. I thought you had a bunch of episodes. I was like, so, regular listeners. I tried to induct people into my cult. It was... well, I think the Charlie Legion, that implies there's like a Charlie cult. So I was like...
that was originally the idea, where I was like, yeah, you're all part of my Legion, but there's like... How many people are in a Legion? Like, I only have like 100 people in there, so...
Yeah, I think you gotta... Well, I mean, that makes you a Centurion at least.
Oh, okay.
Legion.
But anyway, this is episode 1, and so I sent you the thing, but the idea behind this podcast was the internet is too big. You can't know everything on the internet, so have someone on who kind of has their own little corner of the internet and see what they're looking at, show them what I'm looking at, and we could just talk about stuff and get into it, because I feel like I mean, as a Twitch streamer, I'm online a lot, and I try and talk to people, and they're like, what are you talking about? So I'm just like, here, this is what I'm talking about. Episode 1, this is what we're talking about. So here's what I'm talking about right now.
A Legion is 6,000 soldiers. So you're
6,000.
Yeah. So I mean, you're nearly there. You're nearly there.
So close, right there. Oh.
I believe in the Charlie Legion to become a Legion. 6,000 people is like across the country. That's across the world. That's like a person.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah, I mean, how many I don't even know how many people we actually have in.
Don't look at the numbers. They'll just make you sad.
25? That's something.
No, okay. That's dope. Yeah, no. Hello, all 25 of you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
In a world of billions, sometimes 25 feels insignificant, but that's a bar that is crowded.
So anyway, so I'll pass it to you. I don't want to get in the habit of describing people, and I'm going to steal that directly from this other podcast I do, but why don't you tell the people who you are and what you do?
I did a little bit, but I'll do it with Charlie so you can add the notes that are important.
Yeah, exactly.
Patrick Thomas Perkins, but that's too many words, so PTP. I host Recyclables, a podcast with my friend and a more active comedian, Rochelle Cote. You gotta say extra French because it annoys her. And Recyclables is based on the premise that I'm not poor white trash, I'm poor white recyclables, and you can be too, even if you're not poor or white, or think of yourself as trashy. Maybe the premise needs a little bit of work, but the idea is I'm kind of a self-educated person, and all the cool stuff I learn I try to teach with my friends, be it from history or therapy or philosophy. And I feel like as a dropout, I have a unique angle of explaining sometimes bigger ideas, and that's kind of the whole deal. We gotta work on the pitch. I gotta come up with it.
And that feels especially like connected to this podcast, which is why I like having you on here. Which because again, a lot of the people I see in the Twitch space and the Twitter space are like college educated. And they, that comes with a certain level of indoctrination and a certain level of, vocabulary.
A certain level of intimidation too. I think when you're trying to like, hey, here's this cool story from history. If a person with like a degree is presenting it to you, it's kind of like, oh man, maybe I'm not prepared for this. But when it's like your jackass stoner friend who's like, oh man, remember that time you and your buddies got into a fight? It's kind of like that. I think that makes it a little bit easier to understand for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot more approachable for sure. If you're like, I mean, I'm sure we've both been in situations where you end up at somebody's house, you're on the couch, and there's that guy who's like, so I imagine you're the guy who's like, what are your thoughts on the Roman Empire? And I'm the guy like, hey, check out this Twitch channel.
I'm normally, like, here's why I was glad you asked me about this, because, like, I'm normally the guy at the party who's like, does anyone want to talk about magic? Like, because I'm really excited about the Doctor Who cards, even if I hate certain aspects of what it means as a community. But, like, I normally am the guy who, like, if I hear somebody talking stupid shit at a party that they're wrong about, I will be like, actually, the Roman Empire, the Empire phase was only a period after, the year 1000 when Julius Caesar blah, 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 blah. That's when I like correcting the guy who thinks he's the smarmiest. That's the guy on the couch I am, but I prefer the, like, does anyone have opinions about the Doctor Who?
It is satisfying when you're like, oh, that guy's wrong, and and I can prove it. I've got the facts, but yeah, that's not always fun. You're not always the fun guy at the party if you're doing that.
Yeah, Charlie, let me disabuse you of a notion. I am never the fun guy at a party.
Actually, I was just watching a YouTube channel, and this guy said the same thing, where he's like, oh, everybody thinks that's fun, but let me tell you, I'm not fun. I'm like, okay.
My roommate threw a party in the summer, and it was the most horrifying ordeal for me because, like, A, nobody was wearing masks, and B, I didn't know anybody. So it was just me walking through my house like, well, I'm going to have to clean up that later. I'm going to have to clean up that later. I don't know you. You look a little rapey. I should probably keep an eye on you. Like, I'm walking through the party clearly overstimulated, and people are like, how are you doing? And I'm like, fine. I'm fine. I'm going to go in the backyard, do 9 dabs, and then come back in here and be just as anxious.
Okay, you brought up something there, a little. Anyway, but okay, so let's start off at the top. I want to talk about this. So this is kind of like one of the internet trends. This has been going around, and it is, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? I don't know why or where this came from. But
there was a TikTok meme, I guess. Rochelle explained it to me because she has asked me them.
Okay.
That men think about the Roman, or it's that, that thing about, like, men think about sex 6 times in a minute. It was like men think about this 6 times in a minute. It was like the Roman Empire. And then it just became a thing where people were like, oh, it turns out straight guys think about the Roman Empire every day.
I mean, I don't think I think about it in an inordinate amount, but, you know, it was kind of a big deal for a while.
I mean, I think about it in an inordinate amount, but I think about, like, I'm me. So, like, Charlie, you know, specifically that, like, I'll just think about it because I'll think like, there's this dude named Diocletian who was the only emperor to ever quit.
Right.
I think about stuff like where there was a dude who was like, you know what? I've emperored enough. I'm good. I'm gonna go vacation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
I mean,
like, just imagine if Biden right now was like, just right now, not like after he had done his 4 years, but just like 2.5 years in, was like, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah.
This is good. Next. It's not exactly what Diocletian did, but
yeah.
it's just an absurd thing. And there's like, I mean, there's other stuff. Like, I find it very funny that all the histories we have of Julius Caesar seem to have been written or paid for by Julius Caesar.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, stuff like that is what I think about. But it's rarely like, man, if only we could return to the glory.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, Gladiator's a good movie. I like to watch that. I guess that, you know, it's about the Roman Empire. Or History of the World Part 1, you know, they obviously.
I have not seen that one yet. It's been on my to watch list, but I just haven't gotten it.
Because they just did History of the World Part 2, and that was you know.
Oh, okay.
Not the same.
Yeah, no, maybe I'll watch Part 2, so Part 1 seems that much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch it as a thing.
Yeah, we're like, it's okay. It was a little just like, I don't know. It's a little minimizing. Where it's like History of the World Part 1 was made at, like, sometime in the 70s or 80s, you know, and then now they're making it now that Mel Brooks is 97 or whatever, and it's just like he's not in it. He just like does the voiceover, and so then, yeah. But he like won an award for best voiceover or something. Like, really? Like
we got to give him something before he goes.
Yeah. He's already got an EGOT. I think he's fine. Like,
okay, yeah, he's good. It's funny. I accidentally was watching a bunch of this movie. Like, here's the deal: Young Frankenstein is a great movie to put on while you're making out. It's a great movie. It's also a great making out movie because the jokes aren't like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They're all very like one-liner, and you feel and then when it is blah 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 blah, it's the kind of thing where you're like, you look over at the screen and you're like, oh, nothing important, right? And so it is interesting though. Tried the same move with Robin Hood Men in Tights. Does not work. It's just too bombastic. It's too loud. And then the jokes that are bad, when you hear them, you're like,
yeah.
It's like Mel Brooks. It's funny how like those first few movies really hit the mark for like tasteful, classy, tasteless jokes.
Yeah.
And then like right about Men in Tights, he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with tasteless and classless. I can go with a little.
Yeah. I don't know. Fuck it.
Yeah, I've made, what is it, 9 good movies at this point, 5 good movies. I can make the one everyone's like about. That and I think the one he did with no, I'm thinking of Leslie Nielsen, because Leslie Nielsen did the one where he was a vampire that was kind of like meh near the end too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of those last Leslie Nielsen ones, like the superhero movie with Drake Bell.
I forgot about.
Yeah, it was just after like Spider-Man, and like think about how many superhero movies came after the parody of superhero movies. Like,
yeah, like he, I didn't realize he had started out as a serious actor. Like he was like and that's what I think makes him so funny is he approached that whole thing like he was doing, you know, dramatically serious parts as he's making out in a giant condom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he played it straight. Yeah, that actually touches in it's not on here, but Hats Off Entertainment. I keep a list of YouTube channels that I really like, that I think don't get enough love, and I keep them here because that's kind of the part of the podcast. But
that's good. That's good.
Hats Off Entertainment. They do a lot of movie reviews and stuff like that, and he did a whole like mini documentary about Leslie Nielsen and how he was originally a serious actor. Seriously funny.
I could find somebody to.
But anyway.
Yes, I was like, I should look through my YouTube reviews and recommend I should prepare for the show I'm on in the middle of the show. That's the best.
No, it's all good. Again, first episode, I don't really know what to expect, but I just have stuff kind of around and prepared just in case we need to do something. So
I love that I'm the first episode, because that means you're not setting any kind of, like, there's not going to be any coherence to this, Charlie.
No, I want it to be really kind of fresh and relaxed and stuff. And the first one I wanted to be someone I'm comfortable with, and I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So thank you for agreeing to be on. Tomorrow is someone I've never met, do not know, and answered not anonymously, but answered to my. I like put out the form on Reddit. I'm like, hey, be on my podcast, blah blah blah, and I got like 3 responses besides you, and then so I've got someone lined up for tomorrow that like lives in London, is a business owner, so I just like completely
everything I'm not.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, okay, I have no idea what we're gonna talk about, so that's great. So.
Let me grab more coffee. I'm still plugged in headwise, so I'm going to put you on like a visual. There you go. For just a second.
The screensaver.
Yeah, the screensaver, the pillow behind my back.
So we had the Rome thing. It is, to me it kind of adds to this like impression. I'm like, I don't know. I learned a lot about Rome. I would love to learn more. I've never read the Fall of Rome or anything like that.
Well, Charlie, you're in luck. I do know quite a bit about the Roman Empire, because the kind of second full episode of Recyclables was about that guy Diocletian.
Right.
So I actually know more than I needed to, because I was like, oh. But if you want a really good recommendation, there's a podcast called The History of Rome podcast, and he goes from the earliest myths until it falls apart.
Okay.
It's by a guy named Mike Duncan. Because the thing about the Roman Empire is it fell apart like 3 times. Like there's an era where it's a republic, and then Julius Caesar comes along, and then it becomes an empire, and then the empire comes really close to falling. Diocletian saves it, air quotes saves it, and eventually it breaks off into 2 halves, and the whole fall of the Roman Empire that we think about for the Middle to Dark Ages is in Western Europe, right? Yeah. But in Eastern Europe, there's this thing called New Byzantine, or the Byzantine Empire, which is basically Rome 2.0. Right. It's just further, but they do a lot of the same stuff. Administration is run the same, a lot of the same religion. It's basically like if the U.S. was like, oh, the eastern half of the U.S. gets hit by a nuke, so we all moved west, kind of deal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
he covers that.
Because that's where we get. Well, so that would be after the Holy Roman Empire. Or was the Holy Roman Empire the West half?
The West half and a separate thing, and the joke is kind of that it was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire.
Right.
Basically, a bunch of kingdoms stitched themselves together and into an empire. That's normally what an empire is. It's like one kingdom kind of gaining control of others. But they were more confederation, and the thing was, there's this weird thing where, like, even after Rome goes away, Rome lives on in mythology, right? And there's no networks, there's no internet. So if you live in a village, and on the other side of that village, or next to that village is a mountain, and on the other side of that mountain, the Romans came from, you kind of live in fear of the Romans coming over that mountain again, even if the Romans aren't over there for like 500 years now.
Right.
So like, So a lot of people will grab onto the Roman title just to be like, oh yes, we are the successors of Rome, because it just got enough kind of weight behind the name, which is like diminishing a ton of history and information into like stuff. But yeah, the history of Rome is a good one. There is there's a YouTube series called Extra Credits, and they have a history podcast, like a history sub-series called Extra History, and they will cover kind of all kinds of cool stuff from Rome, all kinds of cool stuff from history in particular. But they do a really good job of condensing information and making it accessible to people. So I always recommend that one.
Okay.
And I'll send the link when we're done. Probably write down what I'm telling you about. I remember.
But I don't know. It's like I don't know what it is. Maybe it seems to be like a heterosexual male thing, where it's like you watch History Channel just kind of like because it's on and it's vaguely interesting, or like those kind of mild documentaries on Netflix where they kind of do some history or whatever, and it's like,
my fan theory on like my personal theory on this is that we do that because like the founding fathers had a huge boner for the ancient Romans, because the ancient Romans were one of the most successful republics. However, they weren't exclusively a republic because like they were a republic in that like people were voted on to represent other people. That's all a republic is you that system of government, right? But the deal is, it's all the rich guys voting, all the rich guys who own all the land and all the slaves and beat their wives, voting for all the other rich guys who own all the land, own all the slaves and beat their wives. And so it's more technically an oligarchy. But because it's one of the first successful republics, it's also built around farming, and it's also a colony. Rome is believed to have been founded by Greeks who were leaving kind of the Greek mainland, and so they set up a colony that becomes an empire. Sort of like if, like imagine if Britain sent some people over to like North America, say, and then that colony wanted to create its own kind of like empirical structure. Then those people in that North American colony are probably going to take some notes from those early Romans, because it's a very similar setup, and that is genuinely a thing. Like I want to say it's Jefferson and Thomas Jefferson and one of the guys who was friends with Washington. They get in an argument because one of them is like Julius Caesar is the greatest Roman, and then another one of them is like Augustus is the greatest Roman, or Cincinnatus is the greatest Roman. And basically, Cincinnatus is this guy who became dictator from he was a general, became a farmer, and then Rome goes to war, and they're like, "Oh God, we need somebody to be in charge." Cincinnatus is like, "Cool, I guess I'll do it," and then quits after the war and goes back to being a farmer. And then, whereas Julius Caesar tries to raise up an empire and all that shit, and so they have an argument about like who their favorite superhero is from history. Based on that, and of note, Cincinnatus is who Cincinnati is named after.
Right.
But it's also the reason. A lot of people think the reason George Washington kind of quit after the second term was he was trying to be like this guy. Okay. So like, I think part of the reason we have an obsession with it, at least as Americans in the modern day, is it's like, well, yeah, we read the Cliff Notes for that. Like, the founding fathers were like furiously writing shit down.
Write that down. Write
it down. Oh, you can enslave people and then make them build the empire for you.
Oh my God! Can we touch on that a little bit, because I am just right now working through Voices of a People's History of the United States, Howard Zinn.
Ooh,
and it's where it's like basically, if I haven't read People's History, but I assume this just kind of follows the plot of it, but it's just like firsthand sources, like written sources about shit.
Dope.
It's
like Curly. Keep talking. Sorry.
It is a rough read. It is very dense, and there's very brutal. But it's right now I'm working on like the section that's about indentured servitude. I really like. I remember hearing about it in high school, but it was really kind of glossed over, I feel like. And holy shit, just the amount of stuff. Like,
it's real fuckity.
Yeah. So yeah, using not just slaves.
Number one thing the show is based on, but like a huge source for the show.
Oh yeah.
It is thick, but it is easily one of the most comprehensive histories. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I
No,
hear what you're saying.
That's totally fine. Yeah. So reading about that, just the account of it was like one of Christopher Columbus's. He was like a contemporary of Christopher Columbus, and he's talking about like from like 50 years after 1492, right? And he's kind of like going through what happened from the time they landed on Hispaniola to like everything, and he's just like, yeah, probably 30 million people just murdered, just wanton like destruction, and there used to be people here, and now all these islands are fucking empty, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
so,
no.
That really hit me, and
that's not pre-bedroom.
No, exactly. That's why I'm having trouble getting through it. I'm like, oh my god. Like I'll read a chapter and I'm just like, fuck. But anyway,
I can imagine that one. Like it's extra funny to me because Columbus Day happened, right? That there are so many. We can go to the fun stuff in a minute. But there's so many accounts of people in Columbus's time who were like, "Oh, we are fucking up. We are fucking up big," and it does genuinely make me think of people now who are like writing about the climate and are like or policing and are just like, "Oh, this is bad. This is real bad." So hopefully, I'm very curious who our Columbus will be.
Okay, and I didn't want to touch on. I don't really want to touch on Gaza at all, but because that speaking of fucked up, but yeah, was it Israel Board of Tourism or something? They or board, I don't know what it is, Board of Commerce, something like that. They posted something about like they're gonna build a new amusement park, theme park, and someone's like, "Oh, where?" And it's like, "Oh, south of Israel. They're clearing the ground now." I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like they're openly saying this. Like this is happening.
It's really cool watching history happen. It's really
so fun.
It really it fills me with constant joy. As a cripple, it makes me feel really powerful, really empowered to just go out there and do stuff. Just cry mostly. No, it is. I'm fucked up in the head, and I keep being like, so what are the teams going to be on World War III?
Yeah. Like, yeah, where are we drawing the lines?
The team meetings are going to be really weird too. Like it's going to be like because at least in World War I and II, the team meetings were pretty much like we can kind of agree about a few general things, and in this case, like there's a lot of disparate teams. Like on our team, we have a lot of Jewish people, but we have also a nation that like despite its own shitty situation is also full of Nazis. So like.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's going to be an interesting conversation, but it's going to be an interesting table to watch. It's going to be.
Okay, well, that's one way to put it. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it, I guess. Like, yeah, it's like, no, I don't. I have to explain this to people at work when I like laugh at Donald Trump. I'm like, no, I don't want him to be president, but I think he's funny. Like. Unfortunately, I can't stop watching the guy. Like,
it's objectively. Some of these things are objectively, without question, funny in a weird like kick in the like when you want someone to get kicked in the nuts, you laugh. Even if you feel sympathy, you still laugh because you're like, that part of your brain gets hit.
Yeah.
It's the same way with some of this shit where you're like, oh, you guys saw 9/11, and instead of taking like the good lessons, so like, oh, we can just bomb another country if that happens to us. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean, oh god.
No, it's also it's particularly sad because like I genuinely think people have more in common than they do apart, and that the people who take advantage of that are usually in positions of leadership, like they're hierarchically.
Oh yeah.
Bigger up in the and so even if there's a bunch of people at the bottom, it's still it's fed by the people up top, and that like oftentimes the people at the bottom can obviously have more common like shit in common than different, and it's yeah. Sorry.
Just hearing to people like on the ground in Israel speak, like they're protesting their own government. I mean, they don't want this to be happening. Like it's largely the right wing coalition that is driving this.
Dude.
It's as I call him, Ben from PA, Ben from Philadelphia, Mr. Netanyahu, and it's which is horrible, and we hear, of course it's awful that it's going to generate this kind of, like, people are saying anti-Semitism just immediately if you don't condemn Hamas, but also it's going to actually bring, like, I guess, we have to check. It's unfortunate.
Well, it also sucks because it sucks in a variety of ways. Obviously, neither of us is Jewish, so there's like some, and neither of us is Palestinian.
Yeah.
So there's like we are speaking as people with very little involvement peripherally, but it is a thing where it's like, well, the anti-Semitism is not an answer to it, because it's not the vast majority of Jewish people who are sticky with it, but it's also like punishing all of Palestine for that would be like blowing up LA because the Crips did something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or the blood. I don't know gang territories, but like that's literally taking out like an entire city region because of one gang, and then being like, well, they're just all that way, or whatever accent Israeli people have. They're all that way. And
we saw the tweet from the Israeli Air Force where they're like, oh yeah, we dropped 6,000 bombs on Hamas targets, and it's just like the street, it's just houses, it's just normal buildings, like everything's just a target. That's just. And
what I wish people in support of that kind of action really, really understood is not in a way that is a threat, but is in a way that is just information. You're next. Like, you're on the docket. It just is a matter of, like, how many people are ahead of you in line for execution. And, like, that's the thing that always makes me sad about people that will get, like, so nationalistic or whatever, or any kind of xenophobic, is it's like, look, the people you're hanging out with who believe that kind of thing, they don't like you either. Like it. Any organization that is based on dividing people will divide itself eventually, like, into its own hierarchy or whatever, to the point where, like, you are its target. And, like, that's a lesson. That is one thing I think everybody needs to take from history, is, like, anybody who gets into power through murder, through a pogrom, through anything, they go after other people in their place next. Rome, to go back to ancient Rome, anytime there was, like, and the first, let me say all these words in order, the first kind of real turning of the worm as far as Rome went, like the thing that really kind of was when it started attacking its own citizens, because they became a threat to the empire, right? So, like, if there's a blood revolt or something, you take your soldiers and you train them how to fight inside your city, and that's really when your empire starts to crumble, because you're fighting wars on the outside and wars on the inside, and the people in power become a very thin strip where they're everybody's enemy. So eventually, you become enslaved or you become killed. Like, it's cool. Great system, 5 stars. No.
Yeah. Yep. Everything.
Doctor Who.
Yeah. I mean, and this has been really big on the internet. So I'm glad we touched on that. Everything is on fire, so that's great. But yeah, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Wait. Please do not leave the sad part without optimism. Like, you listeners, listen out there. You are empowered to have an opinion and a voice on these things too. And if you hear people saying shitty things, don't, like, I know it's scary, but don't be afraid. In the sense of, like, you have the ability to make change in the people around you. So if you don't talk about this to the people around you, who are probably on the fence and don't even realize it, or who are saying things that you know they might not believe, but they're just saying them because everyone else on the internet is saying them. It is worth it to confront your friends, especially if you care about them, when they have misinformation about stuff. Not that I am in any way an authority or anything. I just feel like it's always worthy. It's always worth reminding people of that, especially when they are when facing things so dour as this. Because I'm inspired by Doctor Who. Look at that professional turnaround.
Wow, look at that. I just threw in the chat the Palestinian medical assistance fundraiser, which Hassan was running yesterday. He raised $500,000 for that. So another, slightly good thing. You can donate if you'd like to help.
Yeah.
If you have means, if you have the wherewithal, but at least share that. You can share that with people. Anyway, okay. So Doctor Who, I've always found optimism and a somewhat, pretty good message usually in Doctor Who.
Yeah. Even though my favorite Doctor is the Ancient Doctor, the Ninth Doctor.
Oh yeah.
Christopher Eccleston. He's my favorite. Who's your favorite, Corey? Or Charlie? Goddamn, too many names.
It's really hard. I was aware of 9 at the time, and of course 10, David Tennant, I think are, Tennant kind of redefined the role, and I think that's why I want to talk about this too, because he's coming back for the specials next month.
Because Christmas, that's right. I have not watched like the latest season. I need to.
Okay.
I want to do that.
Yes, season 15, or they called it. So there was 2 seasons like of regular Doctor Who, and then they had Flux. It was like a whole Flux season. Did you see any of that?
That's the one I haven't seen yet.
Okay, and then there's like the finale of what's her name?
Is she done being the Doctor?
She is done. So they announced that actor Ncuti Gatwa is going to be the next Doctor. Let me just pull him up.
Is that the War Doctor? Oh no! You already said he. So that's not
Chrome.
What do I send it? Deal with that later. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah. That would be a problem. But you can watch this back later, and then you'll see everything that's happening on screen.
Comment on one-on-one. Messages. Whoa.
So, or wait, I'm sharing it. Can you see my share screen on your phone? Oh, is that?
Yes.
Is this happening? Okay, I'm sharing the screen that is the new Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa. Is this guy, and he was in Sex Education on Netflix, or he still is. It's either ended or it's still going. I don't know. But because he was still filming this season, and they wanted to hit the 60th anniversary, so they filmed this like 3 years ago, honestly. But so they the showrunner Russell T Davies came back. He's the one who started the 2005. He did the 9th Doctor.
Talk about that in a minute.
All the 10th Doctor, and so they're like, oh, we brought him back, and literally it's because no one else in the BBC wants to do it. Like, everybody is giving up on it. Chris Chibnall, who did it last few seasons. He quit. Stephen Moffat doesn't want to do it anymore.
Davies. I was mixing up Davies and Moffat, because Moffat's the one that I'm like. I think Moffat's the one I'm kind of about.
Yeah, he's the one. Like he wrote some great episodes. Like he wrote Blink.
Moffat's the guy that also did Sherlock, right?
Yeah, he did Sherlock. He did.
Russell T Davies is one I like. Okay, that's better. Yeah.
He did the Dracula series on Netflix, and he did Jekyll. If you've never checked out Jekyll, highly recommend.
He's like a British J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
In that, like,
the
he's got some
box.
great ideas, and if you give him the start of something, he can do some cool stuff. But if you let him run a whole series, he has no clue what he's doing.
No.
Like,
after a while, everything just goes off the rails. Like it's my favorite show of his that I do watch this over and over again. It's very comforting. He did a British version of Friends, like in the early thousands. It's called, and not they did do a British Friends reboot. It's not that. It's called Coupling.
It's called Ken.
No, it's called Coupling, and it's not exactly Friends, but it is very similar.
Oh man! Also, looking at the new Doctor Who, damn that drip. I think that's what the kids say.
Yeah, Ncuti is. I mean, he's a handsome gentleman. I think we can say that. This guy is.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing him in like a blue pinstriped outfit. Very handsome. Very like. No, I've seen About Coupling, but I don't think I've seen Coupling.
Okay. Anyways, so yes, anyway, that's Stephen Moffat, but yeah, so they're bringing back David Tennant for just like these 3 specials, and he's like, so the 10th Doctor is back, but he's really the 14th Doctor. We don't know how many regenerations the Doctor can do now, but apparently at the end of this 3 specials, because there will be 3 specials and then the Christmas special, it'll be Ncuti next. So that's all exciting. I am excited for that. Neil Patrick Harris will be in the 60th specials as a old character they're bringing back from like season 4, like original season 4 or something. The celestial toy maker. So like if you thought Doctor Who was obscure, no, it's way obscure. Like it's 2 minutes sci-fi. Nice. The VHS. Nice.
Pat collects dead technologies.
I have a VCR on my desk right here. It's a VCR DVD combo actually. It's just like you're never getting that again.
I had the VCR DVD TV combo, but the screen finally died out. Like the screen finally did that thing where it goes down to like an inch.
Oh yeah.
And unless I want to replace the entire teletube, I just had to unless I wanted to basically do like repairman work, wasn't gonna get fixed. So I have a VCR now. Found one of those at a garage sale, and I just need to get the cords to connect it to my right. Because I have way too many VHS.
I have a few. I took all the ones from my grandma's house I wanted, so I've got like My Fair Lady, Annie, Sound of Music, Jumanji, Space Jam, the classics.
Oh, it is.
The hits.
It is. I'm not sure if I can. It is horribly unorganized right now.
But, man, look at that! You have all the good Disney ones.
Yeah, I got Matilda, Lilo and Stitch,
yes.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Nice.
The pre-edited Star Wars, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a bunch of the cartoons too. I'm just old enough that there is a comfort to falling asleep to VCR, and when it does the, it doesn't wake me up. Like it wakes me up in that weird like I didn't have this, but I heard other people's parents like tuck them in and kiss them goodnight, and were like parents.
It's true. It's happened.
Like mine did. Yeah, mine just blew meth smoke in my room, and we're like, "Hey, Pat, good luck."
Just turn on Lilo and Stitch. You're good.
Yeah. No, it's like that.
Ohana means family. Okay.
Dude, that makes me cry like every time. I am nearly 40. Every time I watch that movie, Ohana means family.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, that's also why I define family as people you find.
That's fair.
All right. We were talking about Doctor Who a million years ago, my dad.
All right. Well, okay. Well, I want to bring this back to Doctor Who a little bit. I want to talk about, because this is not the crossover I was ever expecting. I'm so glad it's happening.
Oh yeah.
But I want to talk about the Doctor Who magic decks. I think I'm gonna go try and buy some tomorrow. We'll see.
Well, all right. I will. Let me give you some. I can give you some recommendations on who to watch to give you a good idea of what to get.
Oh, that'd be great. I'm just looking at so we've got timey-wimey, Masters of Evil, Blast from the Past, Paradox Power.
Yeah.
Those are the decks, I guess. What really got me excited is I'm really glad they're bringing back, or they're showing off old characters, old Doctors. I mean, there's so much to pull from. I mean, it is the British One Piece. It has been going forever. It is thousands of episodes, and it's not worth it to start from the beginning.
It's like start. Well, I mean, it's interesting because I know enough history to know it's like their Star Trek, in that it initially started. I mean, not Star Trek specifically. It was initially supposed to be a kind of history show, where this would go in the past and teach you lessons about, like, oh, the Roman legionaries did such things.
But there was a history teacher and a science teacher.
So it became kind of like Magic School Bus meets Star Trek, and then in time just turned into like full-on Star Trek. But the weird thing is because they recorded a bunch of it, if I remember right, like on VHS or something. Like they recorded it on one format, and when they went to switch over, they just destroyed all the old copies because they were like, nobody's gonna care about these.
Some of them were because they would be recorded over. Some of them were recorded over with the moon landing. So I mean,
apropos.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
I mean, I think the Doctor would be fine with that. I think if you asked him, he'd be like, "Oh, yes."
Yeah, and they used that in that what season of the new one, Matt Smith's second season, The Silence, where he broadcast the thing on the moon landing, telling everybody to. Anyway, that was wild.
My favorite thing about the show is it's great. The Moffat seasons, I think in particular, are great laundry show seasons, where it's like I can fold clothes while this is on. I need to pay attention for like one part of the plot, but that's about it. No, it's also wild because like I thought when the new series came on, I thought it had been out for a while. So like when the Ninth Doctor, like when the new Eccleston run came along, I thought that it had been like already on air for years and years and years. Like, not that they had just rebooted it. So I was like really excited every time I caught an episode because I was like, oh, I'm catching up on it. And instead I was just catching the episodes.
Well, I want to ask, have you gone back and watched any of the older episodes, or?
I've got Tomb of the Cybermen, obviously, and a handful of other ones, but they are a little bit harder to watch because it is like old-timey acting, which is just to say it's a little bit slower. Yeah. And it's a little bit, and like in the same, it's like watching 60s Trek versus watching modern Trek. Like, it's all very, so there's not a lot of like nuance to the performance, which does make it fun too, because it's kind of like watching a play for kids with like really good special effects. Yeah. It's like watching Spider-Man cartoons, or like Land Before Time, or Lost in Time, whatever that Lost in Space, like those kind of shows. This one I was surprised at. It's really good pacing and really good writing still though. Like even for being kind of slow. And like, the special effects are very cheesy because it's what, 19... 1967 for this one.
Oh yeah.
But they're still pretty. Like, it still holds up visually. Like, I watched the whole thing, and it took me. Like, I was like, oh, that's right. I'm watching old timey TV, not like like you know how sometimes TV shows will be like, we're a blast from the past, so we're all going to talk the world. It wasn't that. It was very interesting, and also seeing a different Doctor, but it's still the same Doctor. You know, like it's interesting to be like, oh, okay, that character is still there. That sort of silly, pedagogical, like likes to teach person is still there. It's just like he's in this one. He's a little, I wouldn't say combative, but he's more willing to let people, like, he's like, oh no, don't, kind of like Gene Wilder and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when bad guys do stuff. Like,
be careful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious. Have you ever heard of the non-canon Doctor Who movies from the 60s?
No.
Okay, it's.
I know about the holiday special that was non-canon. That was the first time they had a woman Doctor. Right. But I don't know. I didn't know about the 60s one. No.
So no, in the 60s, after the first Dalek episode, which I can't remember what it's called, but it's just they made a non-canon version that compressed down the serials to about an hour and a half or so, and it stars Peter Cushing as the Doctor, but it completely removes the Time Lord shit, and they just say no, he's just a man who created a time and space machine in his backyard, and it just happens to look like a police box, and so that's where like Barbara is his granddaughter, and he's just like a kindly old doctor, and so they made two of those movies, like 1964 and 65, and they were actually really successful, but they're like a non-canon retelling of these arcs, which essentially is what they do with like shonen movies. They'll retell an arc of the show in a movie setting. Like literally.
Okay, now I see what you're saying. Where it's like anime and that stuff. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
It's literally British anime.
I'm running a pirate campaign, a D&D pirate campaign.
Nice.
And I need to watch One Piece because they keep fucking asking me like, oh, it's just like so and so, and I'm like, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about, man. Like it's the only time I've needed to watch a show for homework for a game.
I did start One Piece. I started One Piece, which is the fan edit, which is completely free and available online. You can watch it. And they just remove everything that's not in the manga, so you don't get the recaps. So it cuts every episode down to about like 10 minutes, and then they stitch 3 episodes into one episode. So it's way more watchable. Is a lot less just filler dialogue, and I've kind of fallen in love with the show. It's something that I can go back and watch.
No, it seems my issue with so like as a kid I was never I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z because I didn't know where to start, and I didn't even know where to get it, right?
Same.
But also like the people who liked Dragon Ball Z, it's kind of like music, where it's like when I was a kid, if you listened to punk, that wasn't the same as being a punk, right?
Yep.
And like I always felt like the same kind of way with anime, where it's like no matter how much I like and respect anime, I'm never gonna be like an anime guy.
Yeah.
A weeb, is that the word? Yeah. I'm never gonna be a weeb.
That's the generally accepted term, yeah.
And it's not, but it's not like from a disrespect. It's just like I already put all my passion points into Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And anything that's left over has been spent on D&D, history, and sex. And that's not to say that like you can't have those things. I'm just disabled and ADHD, so I can only focus on like 4 or 5 things. So I chose Magic, swapped out Vampire and D&D, kind of interchangeable, sex and history. Those are all I can focus on.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
not my daughter turned 19 because she used to take the place of Magic or D&D, but now she's 19. Fuck her. She can take care of her.
Yeah, I just watch a little anime to kind of like inform myself. I try and watch what people consider the classics, Cowboy Bebop, Trigun. I've seen
Anime's like
Death Note.
I'm not gonna make it my whole life, but I really do love it for a good reason.
Yeah, no, some of it's really beautiful and interesting, intriguing art. So I do watch. Anyway, we keep getting off topic, but
Second is probably my favorite of the ones that are like not that I know aren't mainstream exclusively, but is pretty much mainstream.
yeah.
That's to give an idea of where my level of is. But to give you an idea, so I was going to give you a recommend. I was going to let me see if I can find a. The internet is pissing me off these days. Sorry, not the internet specifically. The way the Magic the Gathering website is designed.
Yeah, I was just trying to look at it too.
Because it used to be I could just go. Okay, I agree. I didn't click right.
See, these are beautiful.
No, the art is amazing. Okay, before we get to the part that's all the things I like, let me express, because I thought about this all last night, the three things that really piss me off.
Okay.
One is I don't mind naked cash grabs, and mind naked cash grabs that not everyone can buy into. And that's kind of a big problem with the Doctor Who set in particular.
Yeah.
Is like the low end of accessibility. I mean, you can buy some of these packs, but for the most part, if you try to buy a collector pack on Amazon, let me go to Amazon real quick.
Yeah, because the decks themselves are like $60 to $80, right?
And if you want to buy an individual pack, it is probably going to cost you $240 divided by 12, so about $20 to get just an individual pack.
What?
And that's the sort of thing. Am I doing that math right? 240 divided by 12, right?
Yeah. 240. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, I was double checking. I'm not, despite the fact that I play D&D and Magic, very bad at math. So, but my point is, so yeah, about $20 to get one pack of about 12 cards, right? Or you pay 60 to 70, probably more, because the moment they go to stores are going to charge them up, even the stores, unless you direct ship to the store. But even then, and that'll get to the second issue. But I don't mind a naked cash grab. This is capitalism. I understand. I hate a naked cash grab that I can't afford.
Yeah.
Like at $10, and even like at $10, that's still a little bit more. But I would pay $10 for some cool Doctor Who cards, and like you can put into the chat like how cool some of these images are because they're beautiful. But that brings me to the second thing, which was for the longest time, Magic basically promised never to direct sell their cards. Their whole thing was, we will make them and we will sell them to the distributors, and the card shop, your local game store, is what will really profit off of this. And in the last few years, they've slowly found ways to work around their own promise, and that kind of shit is scummy to me. Like that's just like, if they came out and were like, hey, we're done with that promise, we want to direct sell, I'm fine with that. Then you're being honest about what you're doing.
Yeah.
But stuff like this where it's like, hey, if you order directly from us instead of going to the card shop, you save a lot of money. That's scummy to me. And then the third thing is there's no chance to enjoy these things because 2 months ago, Lord of the Rings came out.
Right.
And I'm still processing cool stuff from the Lord of the Rings set. And in between that, a regular Magic set came out that I've had no chance to play with or look at.
Yeah,
right?
Was that the Eldraine or whatever?
Yes, Wilds of Eldraine. Or correction, I got to play Twyla, and I played, my daughter and I played one game at the store since then with people who had new cards in the set. And we were like, oh, those are cool. We should probably get one or two. But Doctor Who comes out this week, so we're talking about that instead. And those are kind of the three big things that I wanted to make sure. Like, I do love a lot of stuff about this, but like the fact that it's like, all right, cool, a cash grab that not everyone can afford sucks. The fact that like breaking a promise sucks, and the fact that like, man, I don't even have the Lord of the Rings flavor out of my mouth yet, and you're serving me Doctor Who. Like, I would I realize capitalism is maybe. I realize how late stage capitalism is. But can you guys give me a chance to Fallout in like 2 months or something, or whatever the next one is? I can't remember. It's Fallout.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of stuff. I follow a lot of like Magic people, Magic community members on like Twitter and stuff. Seeing a lot of stuff where like, game stores or like online card resellers or whatever, they're not carrying Magic anymore. They're just like, the community isn't there for it, and Doctor Who, this is really cool like crossover for the people who enjoy both of these things. But yeah, if you're not into Doctor Who, you're not, these people aren't going to be joining Magic because of Doctor Who. Like, what kind of new audience are you garnering, really? And yeah, people are just kind of fed up, tired of it.
And it sucks because like, hey, these are some really cool cards, and I'm not just saying that like obviously Magic is not paying me, but like the designs on some of these are really interesting. Oh god, the internet, their webpage of like, this is the other thing that kind of annoys me. It's like you guys are making a ton of money off of players. Can your website be better to navigate?
Yeah.
But what was my point? Oh, just that like these are some really cool, well-designed cards. Like, I'm looking at, let me see, trying to find like they do some interesting stuff, like the 10th Doctor. Whenever you attack, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Put 3 time counters on it. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. So basically, he can put a plan into motion when he attacks that will take place in 3 turns. The 10th Doctor, the Dr. Tennant one. Yeah. But he can also go timey-wimey and time travel. That is to say, you can add or remove suspend counters. So he can set up a plan, but he can also execute it faster, which is very much like 10th Doctor stuff, where it's like David Tennant running around doing stuff, and you're like, I don't know how this is going to work out, but by the end of the episode, you're like, oh crap, all the Blink is a great example of that, of like, oh, you do need to be a 10th level intellect to be able to come up with the plan that the Doctor came up with in the moment. That's pretty cool, right? But at the same time, like, that's probably going to end up being like a $20 card that I'll never see personally. And if somebody across the table from me plays it, I'm going to be so pissed, because I'm going to be like, you could afford Doctor Who.
I got excited for the 3rd Doctor, which is a blue-green or green-blue, which is my favorite color combination to play. Maybe second favorite. I do like red a lot too. So like between 10th Doctor and 3rd Doctor, like, it feels good. But has trample +1 for each non-creature token you control, and when he enters the battlefield, create a clue, your choice of a clue token, a food token, or a treasure token. And the 3rd Doctor was very interesting because his seasons, or his arc, is set on Earth because he has been banished from time traveling by the Time Lord Council. Gallifrey has said, no, you're not allowed to go around and interfere and shit. You have to, work. So this is really when he starts working with the unit and Sarah Jane Smith and Brigadier General Lethbridge Stewart. And he drove a car, and he would drive his car into the TARDIS. It was really cool. I like the 3rd Doctor. I don't know if he's my favorite. I find it hard to choose a favorite because I think there's something unique and interesting to all of them. But
I think the reason the reason David Tennant is, or not David Tennant, but Christopher Eccleston is my favorite, is I think he, out of all of them, I really like the way he was angry. I thought he played a person with PTSD who is aware that they have PTSD way better than any of the other Doctors have so far.
Yeah.
And that's what appealed to me.
Well, and they did say I think he chose that kind of on purpose. He's wearing a like a SS submarine captain's jacket, and he said this was after the Time War. I really wanted this Doctor to be like suffering from the Time War, which was so cool. I mean, very sad that he didn't think he was appreciated. I think people love him way more than he thought. And he has,
saw that interview too.
Yeah,
was like struggling with his body dysmorphia during it and stuff, and it's like, oh, that comes out in the performance, and I didn't even realize that was coming out. Like,
it's so sad. He's come back and he's reprised his role with the Big Finish specials, like the audio specials. So I do think he's starting to get there, but he said he would only come back and play him if he didn't have to like cross over with anyone else. Like he would just do it if he was by himself, which is like, okay.
That's not how that would work, Mr. Eccleston.
No, I want one with. I mean, okay, you haven't seen Power of the Doctor, which was the most recent special we got, which is the finale. Okay, I'll let you. You have to watch that. And
actually, I could see. I think it would be kind of cool if there was like a flashback episode,
that could be cool.
Like him wandering around pre-Bose, kind of the equivalent of like a drunken doctor trying to deal with his survivor's guilt, and then like sets into plan emotion. I want to say this the right way. I think this last season, the last Doctor was my least favorite written Doctor. I really liked the lady who played her, and I like the way she played her. But the writing, at least on the last seasons, like I really struggled to, and maybe it's I've gone further left than I was in the past, but I definitely like would watch these and be like, this is some middle ground shit, man. Like this is some.
Dude, the one where these aliens come and they feed on like the microplastics that are like throughout the ocean.
So confusing.
I was like,
who are the good guys?
Okay, so the message is we need to clean up the ocean. Or there's the one where they like the spiders, and it was like literally just a Trump like stand-in essentially, but they didn't really like condemn anything he was doing. I don't know. Like the
one that did it for me was the one that had me literally yelling at my TV was the Rosa Parks episode.
Oh my god.
The whole premise is she still has to have a shitty time.
Yeah, like racism must exist for us to get here.
And like that is literally not what anyone who is anti-racist or who has any opinion on and I say this as a very, 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 very white person. My understanding is that nobody with an appreciation for Black history or Black issues of struggle is saying that that's what needs to happen at all.
They literally fill up the seats and just don't let no. What?
Here's if you really if I was in charge, you know what I would have done? I would have made the actors have to be the shitty people. I would have been like, all right, cool. Guess what, Doctor Who? You have to be the one who tells Rosa Parks to get up.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I would have done that. Is no, represent your role in this thing. Don't do this weird it's not our fault, but we got to make sure it still happens.
And it's just kind of the whole thing, because let me be clear. I like in the newest season the Ryan and Graham, his step grandpa. I like that whole dynamic, and I like Yasmin Khan. I like her character too, especially the episode where they go back in time to the demons of. They visit her grandmother right during the separation of Pakistan and India, and that's very weird.
Because the British weren't involved in that at all. That's the weirdest part of that episode is the fact that it's
no,
Britain is responsible for that entire moment in history, and it's nope. Where are the British people? No.
It was the angry Muslim people that were doing it, of course. But that did give the ending theme of that, the way they like performed that was actually very beautiful. That I like that part of it. And the episode was kind of like, this is weird.
And that's kind of how I felt about the whole run. Is like I've loved every actor, and like I even like the guy that they got to play the Master. But I'm like, why the shit did you bring the Master back when you just closed Missy's arc so beautifully?
Yeah,
like you find like some cool, like that was maybe the best villain closure I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Where it was like it was two people reconciling in a way that you're like, oh, okay, that's what healing looks like, and then they're like, nope, erase.
Yeah, there's a fan theory that maybe he's like a doctor from the past, so he was he was a master from the past, so he was the master before Missy, and he or something.
That's kind of cool, then.
But
I mean, I like that idea.
Who knows?
All right. Focusing. Speaking of Missy and the bad guys, do you play Magic a ton, or are you more casual?
There was a time in my life where I played a lot, and especially EDH or Commander, I played a lot. And I've gotten out of it, and I've gotten back into it. But I right now not so much. I've got like 2 decks that work.
Those are all the decks my daughter and I have.
Oh Jesus! I mean, that's awesome.
And all the cards. The top half is cards. The bottom half is cards. I don't know how I'm angling my camera. The bottom half is cards. The top half is decks. So next time you're gonna play Commander, Charlie, I have a deck.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of such, Masters of Evil. There's 4 themed decks.
Right.
The Masters of Evil, I think, is pretty interesting, but maybe the least. The thing for it is you give your opponents a villainous choice, so they get an option to do a thing that hurts them or benefits you. My prediction is that's not going to be as much fun, because anytime you give your opponents a choice, they're always going to pick the thing you don't want them to choose.
Oh yeah.
But it is in the 3 colors that are kind of really fun: blue, black, and red. The bad guy colors. And the Missy card, if I remember it. God damn it, I guess I have to just use MPC something. Or no.
The Missy card. Whenever another non-artifact creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control, face down and tapped. It's a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature.
Yeah. I don't know if that means you can morph it.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Normally, I don't believe so, because normally it would say turn it face down as a creature with morph. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, at least okay.
At the beginning of your end step, each opponent faces a villainous choice. Each artifact creature you control deals 1 damage to that opponent, or you draw a card, and chaos ensues. It says that. It just literally says that.
That's the Plainier dice, because that's the other thing about this set. There's going to be Plane Chase cards.
Yes!
Plane Chase for people less familiar with Magic.
Oh man, I haven't played Plane Chase in forever.
Oh, it's my daughter's favorite way to play. So Plane Chase is normally when you play Magic, you bring a deck for Commander specifically of 99 cards and 1 kind of hero face card. And Plane Chase is a set of cards where you can literally kind of hop worlds, and each world has a different effect. So in this one, you're going to visit places that are. Let me see if I think that's at the bottom of this little spoiler I got here. That's the token. Yeah, so you can go places like Antarctic Research Base, Planet or Plane Earth. When you planeswalk to Antarctic Research Base, and at the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. So make a clue token, and you can sacrifice the clue to draw cards. Whenever chaos ensues, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. X 1/1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the number of artifacts you control. It becomes a plant in addition to its other types. I don't remember what the Arctic Research Base one was. Trying to see one that I can remember, like an episode I can remember, but they're doing like old episodes too. Geez.
Yeah, dude, this is bringing back a lot of cool. They have the Ronnie, Cult of Skara, the Valiard is in here. Sorry, I'm looking at Commanders.
Yeah. I'm looking at the planes. The moon base, plane moon. Lose gravity. All creatures have pay 2. This creature gains flying until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. When chaos ensues for each opponent, choose up to one creature on that player's graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield face down under your control. They're 2/2 Cybermen. So it's from that time that the moon base was under attack by the Cybermen. Yeah. So Missy lets you plane check. Lets you if they don't let you draw, if they do the draw card ability, you also get a whatever the chaos on your plane is.
Okay.
They also have the Fugitive Doctor. That one's pretty cool. Whenever the Fugitive Doctor enters the battlefield, investigate. Whenever the Fugitive Doctor attacks, you may sacrifice a clue. When you do, target instant or sorcery spell in your graveyard gains flashback. Choose a red and a green, and she's a 4/4 for 3, a red and a green. So, pretty cool stuff there.
I've got the 8th Doctor. Oh my god. Yeah, there's characters
we can talk about this
I've never even seen, like Duggan, Private Detective. I know he's from like a certain series. I think
I had to look up some of these. Is Vizlor Toloff deal with the Black Guardian? When it enters the battlefield, you may have an opponent gain control of it. It's goaded, which means it has to attack somebody other than you, as long as they do. And it can be a Doctor's Companion. I had to look that guy up, and he's from like the 6th season or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it was basically he was set up to be like a spy that was going to infiltrate the TARDIS, and then the writers were like, well, actually we want him to be a good guy. So then they like rewrote his whole story like in the last episode or some shit. Oh man, no, I would
Romana.
Okay, so to focus, Charlie.
I'm sorry.
If you haven't played in a while, I would probably recommend probably the easiest it looks like from among these, just kind of guessing, because they don't have, I don't know where to find the exact deck list, even though I know they exist somewhere.
Yeah.
If you, Masters of Evil seems like it would be fun if you don't mind that your opponent is usually going to choose the thing you don't want them to.
Right.
But it does seem, timey-wimey seems like it's going to have a lot of math, like a lot of, and a lot of counters.
Yeah.
So you're going to need a lot of extra dice or chip tokens of some kind. Blast from the Past seems maybe the most straightforward to play, even though it's going through all of the Doctors 1 to 8, the first 8 Doctors.
Yeah.
My assumption is, if I had to guess, if they were smart, they knew players who have been people who haven't played the most, or who have the longest history with the show, are probably going to buy that deck. So I would presume that's going to be the easiest to play, right?
Yeah.
Paradox Power with the last 2, with the 12th and the 13th Doctor, also looks pretty fun. And I know for a fact that one has a mechanic. So the first one, timey-wimey, that has the 9th, 10th, and 11th Doctor, is going to focus on suspend and time travel, which lets you put more counters on things that have a certain kind of counter. Masters of Evil is going to be like a combat kind of control deck, which is one of the harder things to play, especially in Commander, where like it is hard to maintain control. Blast from the Past, it looks like it's going to do a lot of stuff with tokens, like food tokens, investigation tokens, that kind of thing. And then the Power of Paradox looks like it's going to do a lot of cascade spells, so it will let you play things for free from your library.
I love that.
And then get triggers off of that, because like the 13th Doctor has a thing that triggers when you cast a spell from anywhere but your hand. So like stuff like that, where you can put stuff in exile and it'll cast it. So I would recommend for experienced players, probably timey-wimey, Master of Evil. For newer players, Blast from the Past, and maybe kind of if you're in the middle, Paradox Power seems kind of the middle of the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, Blast from the Past. I do like just putting out a bunch of creatures and swinging faces.
Yeah,
that's kind of it is the fun, easy play style. It's like, yeah, I make creature, I swing at you. Okay, but my favorite Commander deck I ever built, and I built with the help of someone who had built this deck previously, but it was a mono red Nor in the Wary commander deck. Nor in the Wary is 1 and a red, and when you play a spell or attack, he just blinks out of existence for a turn.
He's only a red. He's only a red for 2/1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a 1/1, and he can't even attack because he'll just blink out of existence if you do. And I annoyed so many people with that deck. So I love that deck. So I don't know. Paradox Power is kind of calling to me, even though I do want Blast from the Past just because of the nostalgia stuff. I do like the old Doctors. So
I think if it was me, I think I would go timey-wimey because one of my favorite things to do is to set up a turn that nobody sees coming, or when my turn happens, it's just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, exactly.
And timey-wimey. I mean, I'll be honest, Masters of Evil seems like the kind of deck I would play too, because I do like those. Not because I like being evil in a game, but also I like giving your opponent the chance to hang themselves, because that's giving your opponent the chance to lose the game for themselves and be like, hey, you chose to do this.
Yeah,
this was your choice. So that's my favorite thing to do, to eliminate all options and then be like, oh, that was your choice. Like,
yeah, if I had to guess, my friend Tyler, who I now play Magic with the most, I would guess he would probably want Masters of Evil. He's a big blue kind of control player, blue-black kind of stuff. So
if the people in the chat want my honest recommendations, it is probably check out the Professor online, the Tolarian Academy on YouTube.
Tolarian Academy,
he's always doing great reviews of stuff. And he would be the person to listen to about whether or not you buy singles on this kind of set. But 9 times out of 10, that's kind of my recommendation to people. If they're like, well, I don't want to spend $500 or $300 getting a bunch of Magic cards. And it's like, all right, we'll spend maybe 50 to 100 and get the 10 you really want.
Yeah.
Right? And then, because if I wanted anything from this, it would probably be each of the Doctors more than anything else.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is, I don't know, man. I have all kinds of feels about this because some of these designs are just like the Master Multiplied. It has a myriad, so whenever it attacks, you create a copy of it for each opponent attacking them. However, the Legend rule doesn't apply to creature tokens you control. So each of those tokens gets to live because it's not a copy of him. Oh, and then triggered abilities you control can't cause you to sacrifice or exile creature tokens you control. So every time he attacks, he makes 3 copies of himself that are supposed to go away. But instead, every time he attacks, he makes 3 copies of himself that never go away. And they have the ability to, every time they attack, make 3 copies of themselves that never go away. And that is design I don't think you would have seen unless somebody was like, oh, let's make a really this specific version of the Doctor. Or Graham O'Brien, Paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, create a food token. I love that. Oh, I didn't see the face of Bo was one. Jesus Christ.
Isn't it? Dude, so many of old characters getting cool cards. Oh, Fugitive Doctor is red green. That is one of my favorite color combinations. When the Fugitive, oh my god, ugh. Okay,
they did
Doctor.
the TARDIS.
Wait, what's
they did me the Immortal from the 11th Doctor run, the fascist.
No, that was 12th Doctor. That was Ashilda.
Oh, 12th Doctor. Yeah. My
go to the Viking. That was a cool arc. I mean.
No, that was one of the better arcs from that run.
I really feel like Peter Capaldi, like he kind of gets some flack online. I think he acted his fucking heart out. The guy was a killer Doctor.
I thought he's up there with my favorites. Like, the thing I like is when the Doctor is... The thing I didn't like about David Tennant, and the thing I didn't like the most about Matt Smith, is I don't think the Doctor should be silly. Or I do think they should be silly, but I think they shouldn't be a joke, right? Or they shouldn't, like... the Doctor makes me think of a trickster, like Coyote or Crow, where like they can get in over their head, but they're always thinking of the next thing out.
Yeah.
And I felt like Matt Smith's Doctor was a little bit more like, look at how clever I am, and I don't know.
It definitely was it, because, and that's Stephen Moffat's writing, is he's just like, everybody's very clever, and when you're clever, that means you talk very quickly, and so everybody in this scene is going to be talking very quickly. And it's just like, and it was like at the same time as he was during Sherlock, he was doing that, and I was just like kind of exhausted by it, where he's like, okay, you're just writing Sherlock twice. Like,
yeah, I call it doing the trick when somebody can do whatever the thing is that they're supposed to do well, and it's like he can do the trick when it comes to that kind of writing, but like he doesn't get to the point of the trick there is to show something, not just to be like you have to have something clever.
Yeah.
The one that made it really kind of somebody else pointed out. There's a podcast that used to be on called The West Wing Thing, where the listeners, the host watched an episode of The West Wing and then broke down the politics and like what was wrong with them.
Nice.
And somebody pointed out that whole walk and talk, where they walk through the White House and the camera follows them,
they just walk in a circle.
Yeah, well, there's that, but also they rarely say anything. They're just talking so fast, it seems like they are.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the trick, is if you talk fast enough, it looks like you're doing something.
Yeah. Oh, man. I love me some West Wing, though.
You can. You can love it all you want.
What, you don't watch Shibboleth every Thanksgiving? That's my Thanksgiving tradition. Like we're just watching that one Thanksgiving episode where CJ has the turkeys. That's it.
I didn't like when it was on air. Like, here's the way my brain works. I was like, I'm not that kind of white, so clearly that's not the kind of show that's for me. Like,
I don't know. I got into it when I was like 24, 25, and I was just like, oh, this, I don't know. It's kind of that must-see TV kind of nostalgia feeling. There's parts about it I like. I understand it's not it's not for everyone. It's not perfect for sure, but
the politics are garbage. That's the main thing I took away from it. The writing seems pretty alright, and the character, like, it's one of those things where it's similar to actually this last season of Doctor Who, where it's like it sounds like the actors act the shit out of maybe not the best script.
Yeah. Well, and like Aaron Sorkin left after season 3, so like
why he left?
I really love like up to season 3. I still watch all of it, but like it gets worse.
Do you know why he left? This is my favorite thing. He got caught in an airport with a bunch of shrooms and shit, and basically had to like quit. Like,
damn it, that's so stupid.
It's so silly. I know.
Man, that does make me like him more, but did you watch any of Newsroom?
Is that the one with the dude from Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah, Jeff Daniels.
I watched a couple of episodes, and I was not. I haven't always known I'm an anarchist. Right? I've always, the longest time, I think it's been a recurring theme, at least on my podcast. I don't know if I've had this conversation with you. I thought liberal was like as far left as you could go, and anything further than that was like, you're doing criminal shit. And so I definitely watched a couple of episodes of Newsroom with friends and was like, all of this seems bad. And then people that, like, I'm not friends with the people that I was watching it with anymore, because they were very much people who were like, all of this seems fine. And I remember just being like, I don't think this is, I'm realizing I don't fit in with this crowd. I don't know where I go.
Yeah, I mean, so, okay, I don't know. Have I told you the story of how I got radicalized? I like to tell this story. We can talk about this.
Yeah.
My family's very liberal, and I love them very much. We just, I try to not to talk about politics too much or keep it mild. But so I was kind of raised with that and watching MSNBC and like Keith Olbermann and stuff in the home, and I was like, okay, I have a fairly good, I have an understanding of, I'm a Democrat and that's how I vote, and so like the West Wing at that time felt very like, oh cool, we're awesome. And then like Newsroom was like, oh yeah, he's calling out the Tea Party and like, yeah, this is crazy. Which like he wrote that 2 years after it happened, so it's like it's not like he's writing very insightful commentary that wasn't said at the time, but okay. It's all very good. But 2020 I was in a Minecraft server, and somebody on the Minecraft server, they had all these mods, and they put in like some kind of economy where you get paid to do certain acts in Minecraft and you can earn like fake money. And so I was like, oh yeah, I get money from digging and building because that's what I do in Minecraft. Like, why wouldn't you? And then one guy was like, oh no, my job is going to be food. I'm going to choose food to make money. So you all have to buy food from me because that's what I have to do. And I'm like, but I have a garden. Like, I have my own garden. And then in the middle of the night, this guy destroyed my farm. Like, like, wait a second. This guy it's a free resource that I'm growing myself, and this guy is imposing capitalism. He's making me buy food from him.
Perfect.
And that's how I got radicalized.
What's so beautiful about that is that's historically why we have stores.
Yeah.
Is because people used to have gardens and shit, and then some asshole was like, "No, you gotta work more and pay me." Like,
yeah, literally, like having like public gardens and stuff like that is illegal in some places.
Do you know about the diggers? You're British, right? Did you guys are ancestrally British, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
That is correct. I am ancestrally British.
So do you know about the diggers or the I think the other group was the levelers? Did you ever hear about them?
I've just recently heard about the diggers, but please remind me because I.
So.
Oh wait.
For the longest time.
Wait. The diggers. Hold on. There was I was reading about this because I was reading about Abby Hoffman. Is this okay? You continue.
Yeah, they're way before Hoffman, but I can see how Abby Hoffman would be talking about that.
I think there was a group that was like inspired by the original diggers in California in like the 60s, and
the diggers is like a 1660s thing. So in England, I don't remember which king, but there used to be this thing, public lands, where if you couldn't afford a house or whatever, that was where you lived. It was also where you farmed. And all of that food and garden went to the entire community. And under the king that's an asshole, I want to say Richard, private lands get enclosed and given to the royalty, right? Which means all these public lands become privatized.
Right.
Which means like, these public gardens, these public housing places get taken away from people. And this group, I think it's first the diggers and then the levelers, extreme Christian radicals who are like, yeah, no, everybody deserves a fair share. And so the levelers were literally, they wanted to level society so that everyone was kind of on the same standing. I don't remember why the diggers were called that, but that was kind of their idea, was that they were like, no, we still want we want public lands. We want this place that we can go to garden and to live because we don't have private property. And the government basically took it away and was like, no, you can't. You need to pay this guy rent instead. And the diggers were like a radical group that were like, fuck it, we're just going to stay here anyhow. And then I wouldn't be surprised, if I remember right, there is there is like that does sound right for Hoffman. I think that.
Yeah, so, well, okay, I want to look up influence. So, in 1966, a faction of the San Francisco mime troupe formed a diggers group in the hippie community in Haight-Ashbury. So this would have been like the height of like the Grateful Dead residents in Haight-Ashbury. And so that's what I was thinking about. They had their own diggers group where they were doing similar things, I believe, and they would do they would do big public performances and stuff to kind of like and so what they said famously is when Abby Hoffman wrote Steal This Book, it had a lot of their techniques and stuff in it, and they were kind of mad about that, where they're like, oh, you put your face on it, it should be about the group, it shouldn't be about a singular person, but he was just trying to disseminate the information. But anyway.
No, Abby Hoffman is legit. He's definitely, at some point, that's going to be a recyclable episode.
I'm very excited for that one, because let me tell you, my friend had a copy when I was in like.
Hold on one second, my earphones are. I'm gonna see if turning it off will let me still talk to you. What?
Hello?
Or maybe the other one's done? Oh, that one. Okay, so it's the other one. Okay, so it'll go off. Alright, well, can you still hear me?
Hello? Yeah.
Okay.
My like when I was like 10, 11, 12, something like that, my friend had a copy of Steal This Book by Abby Hoffman, and so like I remember like looking through it, I'm like, oh my god. And his uncle came in and he saw me like reading this book, and he's like, oh, Abby Hoffman's a racist. And I'm like, what the fuck? What? And so I kind of like live with that. And it was just this year, just recently, where I'm like, wait, I don't know anything about him. Like, why am I still carrying that around? So I like looked him up, and I'm like, what the shit? Like, I mean, it's not that I like really thought he was right, because that guy was like a pretty conservative guy, but I was like, maybe I should just figure it out. Like, I wanted to know.
The Dollop did a 3-part episode on him, because I had never heard of him either, and since then I've been like, oh man, especially Steal This Book, I want to get a copy of. But my favorite to give listeners an idea of who Abby Hoffman was, he's an activist in the 60s, and he would do things like call press conferences to come to orgies, and then like drug the news reporters with acid and shit.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing was he went underground into hiding. Like he went into hiding because the government was like, "Oh, you're bad because you're telling people about all these radical activities." He goes up to the border between like New York and Canada, and ends up still getting involved in activism because he's the kind of guy where it's like, this is wrong, I need to stop it. So even if he's like hiding in an assumed identity, he still is like fighting for the rights of local fishermen and stuff, or the like he's fighting for. He's one of those guys who's like also I really respect because he was willing to take the punches that he was telling other people to get, and unless you're like, I think I'm allowed to tell people to go take punches I can't take because I'm crippled. So like the first punch might literally like paralyze me.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm a little more comfortable with that, but like not very much comfortable. But Abby Hoffman was the kind of guy who's like, hey, let's go to a protest. I'll be the first one to get punched by a cop. Like I'll do that, and that's some respectable shit. But he also really believed that like teaching people was the way to like you have to take direct action to make change, but you can't make change without pedagogy, without teaching. And I really, really respect that. Obviously, that whole attempt.
Anyway, so yeah, Abby Hoffman. How do we get on that? Okay. Look,
inevitably, I will get to some sort of radical from history.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's why I appreciate having you around, because I'm trying to learn about the radicals from history myself, and place myself somewhere in there. I know I'm not that radical, but I like to.
I mean, like radical is a word, and like, really, man. What I know about you is, I think if there is a fire, you would be willing to jump in to help people. Maybe not into the fire, but definitely with the buckets, and maybe to make the people are good after the fire.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't think you are the kind of person who would have set that fire, and I think that's good people. You know what I mean?
Well, look, if I'm burning something down, I'll pull the fire alarm first. I'll let them know. Like, wait, was it Hakeem Jeffries who pulled the fire alarm in Congress last week or whatever? It was such a stupid story. It was.
Well, some of this week has been stupid stories.
Well, it was the vote for like. Well, it was like one of the votes for the bill that nobody cares about or whatever, and this was before the Kevin McCarthy kicked out thing. But Hakeem Jeffries like was locked out of a vote, so he thought he could get in by pulling the convenient little handle on the wall next to the door, but it turns out that's the fire alarm, not a door opening mechanism. So he delayed the vote because he pulled the fire alarm, and everybody's like, "Oh, he did it on purpose. He's trying to delay the vote." And he's just like, "No, it was an accident." Anyway,
fire alarm practice gets noisy around Representative Jamal Bowman.
Oh, Jamal Bowman, that's who it was, not Hakeem Jeffries. That's on me.
Okay, no, that's not. I hadn't. It is wild how wild our representatives are of votes that like that story totally didn't even hit my radar.
Yeah, dude, I
get so mad at this at Congress, obviously. But like when the budget shit comes up, it pisses me off to no end because it's what the bad guys want. Like the longer the conversation around it takes, the less people get help, and the more people die, and that is exactly what bad guys want.
Yep.
Bad people. And so it is like for all the things I hate about government and how we shouldn't like not government but our government.
Yeah.
That is maybe the thing that pisses me off the most, where it's like this thing could work, but you guys.
Yeah. They just don't care. Or like half of them want to look like they care, and the other half literally just want to stop everything from happening, because socialism is when the government does things, and the more stuff it does, the more socialist it is.
Yeah, that's clearly what socialism. It's not. It's not an ideology. It's not.
No. It's that's cultural Marxism, and you're wrong, and you will be expelled from the country.
Like every once in a while, I'm like, what would cultural Marxism really look like? And I guess it would be all of us being drunk and smoking cigars.
Cool. Like,
I mean, I think that's most of what Marx did was just drink beer and smoke cigars. Like, it's also like I love because it's usually the right that does it more than the left. But I love the way like people from history will be revered, so that you don't notice their ideas. Because it's like, Marx, guy, his ideas, pretty cool, pretty dope, pretty interesting. It's the same thing with like, that's how I feel about a lot of the founding fathers, where it's like, some of them had good points and interesting things, but like, they're not like, I'm not going to revere George Washington.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson had some fire quotes, but he was a piece of shit person.
Well, to go back to Voices of a People's History, there's like someone wrote a letter to Thomas Jefferson, he was a freed slave that was writing to Thomas Jefferson. It's like, hey, like, I love the whole thing you wrote about how all men are created equal, love all that. So, what do you think? Could you like speak on our behalf and try and end this shit? And I don't think it got through. Unfortunately, I don't think.
Well, Jefferson was like I think he gets summed up real easily in that he wrote in the initial Declaration of Independence that slavery was a sin America inherited from the British Empire, because the British had kind of had their whole system, brought it over, but Americans had really revolutionized it with chattel slavery, which is really funny. But then he writes that, and at the same time, he goes over to France with his with an enslaved minor and impregnates her, with all of the complications that's going to imply.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and people are like, that's a complicated man. I'm like, no, that's a hypocrite and a rapist. That's what that is.
Yep. Reminds me of the 30 Rock bit where Tracy finds out he's related to Thomas Jefferson, so he's like, I'm going to do a Thomas Jefferson biopic. I'm his living relative. I'm allowed to do this. He does it in whiteface, and he's just, oh, it's awesome. Anyway.
Oh, that's great. I would watch that one.
Uh,
I watched a lot of 30 Rock has never been.
I mean,
Charlie, what you're saying today is I watch a lot. I don't watch a lot.
It's a very funny show. Some of it is not great, but some very talented writers on that show. But yeah. Anyway. Okay, so this is the last part of the show. This is the part where we share something. Well, I'm going to share something with you at least, and you've already shared a couple YouTubers, but we can go through those again. But I'm going to share with you another YouTuber that I feel like people that is always on my list. So if it's not on someone else's recommended, that's who I want to show. So because usually when I'm with you, we're rolling dice. We're going to roll dice today.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we'll do a 6. That's fine.
Number 6.
Oh God. No, that was no good. It's gonna be a 6. It's a 6. Okay, so this is actually good. So my friend Cerebral Vortex Tyler, he showed me this one, but also I've seen this on Twitch. Have you ever seen Summoning Salt at all?
I have not. What is that?
Okay, so Summoning Salt, he kind of focuses on speedruns, world record video game speedruns. I'm not even subscribed, but he does these super in-depth histories. Like this is a 45-minute video about the quest to beat Jimmy Poopins, and it's just like how these world records were set in on video games like Mario Kart or Super Mario or whatever, and then how they were beaten. So like the history of Lego Star Wars world records. Very cool. I mean, just super in-depth videos. Following, like, that's an hour and a half about Lego Star Wars. That's crazy. The history of Wii Sports world records.
No, that's on the show. Sorry, I didn't know.
But so if you know, because a lot of the time I'm just looking for something to watch while I'm like eating or something. This is a great one for that, where it's like it is very in depth. It's very interesting. It's something I've played Wii Sports. Love that. And he does really cool in-depth stuff. So recommend.
No, I'm interested. Like read history like that. Like if we didn't have capitalism, man, people could be making shit like that if they wanted all the time. Like that's what I wish people would understand. Is it's like anti-capitalism is like pro art and pro people. And,
oh yeah.
And pro, like I'm not here because I think money is evil. I'm here because I think you deserve better than the evil of money. If I can recommend a local, can I make a recommend too, or is that my?
No, please. I'm going to write it down on the list, and we'll just add it to the list.
Yeah, I've been keeping a list on my phone too. A friend of mine online does a show called Dice and Delinquents, and it's a D&D Let's Play, and I think they stream it as well.
Is it Dice and Delinquents?
Yeah, let me see. Oh, I can probably send you the...
Oh yeah, if you can do that, that's great.
I don't know if I can send it on screen. We'll send you the link. So I'm such a Luddite. Watching Charlie's stream. I didn't end the call today. I'm so old,
Here,
Charlie.
Let me stop streaming this, and then there's a chat thing. Wait, what? Transfer to console? Wow.
Cricket. I didn't mean to do that.
No, that was me.
Oh, okay. Like, oh God, how do I stop that? How do I? Oh, I'll just. There we go. I put it in the chat you and I are having. in our personal.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, Dyson Delinquents.
They do D&D Let's Plays. I think they wrapped up Tomb of Annihilation, which was a module a while ago, and they're into
a classic.
Yeah, and they're into Candlekeep Mysteries right now. I think they're only on their fifth episode.
Number 5.
Yeah, they stream about once a month. I have been enjoying. I've been using it to go to sleep too, as my I'll put my friends on to play D&D in the background, and I'll go to bed. And I had kind of taken a break this last month because I had been listening to Lord of the Rings on audiobook, but the rental from the library was finally up, so I had to give it back. But no, this one's been a fun one, and they're all kind of goofy and silly fan people. So my kind of people.
Yeah, sounds good. The Crew Talks Biology. Oh yeah, it looks like they do stream it as well. I wonder if they have.
Yeah, I know they have they have like a Twitch channel of some kind. I don't know all the details, but it should all be on their YouTube page.
Yeah, I mean I think like I've said, I think D&D on Twitch is kind of Twitch is a great tool because it kind of automatically records everything you stream, so which is good. And I think it's hard for people to find their way to Twitch. I think like there's kind of a barrier for entry, but that's part of like why there's such a tight-knit community. There's kind of like a unspoken etiquette in the chat kind of thing, and people kind of know what to do and what's going on, and I love that. I love that. So that's kind of part of why I do this on Twitch and why I want to do this podcast, because I'm like, bring people to Twitch and show what it can do, and then also bring people who are on Twitch to other people, show broaden everybody.
Twitch is one where, I think the barrier to entry part is for sure the big deal, because it's like it's definitely something I've been interested in, but like it takes time and effort in a way that like recording specifically doesn't. But like that has its own difficulties too, because not everyone can think in that kind of like. Because the problem with recording and editing is you have to think in like 4D, where you're like, what's this going to sound like in the future?
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas the more improvisational tone of the now is also sometimes. Anyway, sorry. You got like 3 minutes left, Charlie.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you for embarking on this adventure with me. Please let people know where they can find you if they want to hear more.
You can listen to Recyclables wherever you listen to podcasts. It's on the Spotify and the Googles and all that. I have social media, but I hate social media. But anywhere you find, just type in Patrick Thomas Perkins. I'm probably on Facebook or Instagram, or I think I still have an X account. I never tweet, but I still have a Twitter. But for the most part, just Recyclables. And if you like what you hear, you can go to the Patreon, patreon.com/Recyclables. I actually, I've been putting up patron exclusives for the last little while instead of new episodes, just because I'm disabled and been dealing with that. But we just, literally, I think last night I put down an episode that was an interview with a person who is disabled and had to turn to heroin to deal with the pain management while they were waiting to get approved. And so we kind of talk a little bit of their ordeal and what they went through. That's patron exclusive, just because I wanted to keep some anonymity to the identity of the person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
But as part of the project that I'm working on to kind of discuss disability in whole. So if you want to support that, again, patreon.com/Recyclables.
See, Patrick's out here doing serious work, real journalistic stuff, and I'm sitting here and we're talking about Magic the Gathering. So
I To be fair, the next thing that I will probably put in the feed is the vampire game we played together.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, but even then, see your vampire game that was so well done and such a even then it was like thinking about a lot of the same themes. So I mean,
thank you, Charlie.
He's consistent. He's ideologically consistent.
You are ideologically consistent as well. You want people to be happy in addition to the misery, and I'm usually just like, hey, be miserable. Do you want to make a game out of the misery?
Okay, the misery can be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm gonna end it. So I'll let you go. Bye. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, I ended it. I just kicked him. And guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been a podcast production of Charlie Hickmott. It's me, and this has been Drowning in Content, episode 1. We did it. We did the damn thing. Once again, you can follow PTP, Patrick Thomas Perkins, at Recyclables Podcast, anywhere your podcast, and you can follow this podcast anywhere your podcasts come out. Once this episode comes out, you'll find it, but you can get ahead of it, I guess. All right, and with that, we will see you later. I've got to go do more podcasts.